Hello everyone, back tuning in today's second video. So today's first video had a look at the warm temperatures we had today. Some places reached 18 degrees today, but there was a few hints that it might turn a bit colder as we get through to the start of March. The GFS and the ECWF runs this morning were looking a little bit colder for early March. So that's what today's first video was about. I said we'll have a look at the GFS ensembles tonight and see how much support there is within the GFS ensembles for turning things colder into early March. So that's what we're going to do tonight on Ensembles Watch. I'll get over it in a second. Before I get on with that, just say about the ads. There's link articles on all pages. Have a browse widgets, click through the links. If there's any articles that you're interested in, you have in this page website. Thanks so much for doing that. That first video I was telling you about, it's underneath the link ads here on the homepage, so do check that out if you'd like to do that. Right, I'm going to start off with the GFS Ensemble Watch at website metrosteel.fr. Of course, you find links to Metrosteel on the links page. We're starting off with the control run of the GFS, which is run at a slightly lower resolution compared to the operation run, and the operation run is the one that we use every day in the videos. So this is the control GFS ensemble member, and we're starting off on the 28th of February, when it looks very unsettled, a deep area of low pressures over the top of the British Isles. We are just there. As we run through into the opening days of March, we turn the winds into the north, so it does go a bit cold, probably bringing some wintry showers into the north of the east. So we get high pressure building in. That will give probably frosty nights, but I wouldn't have thought overly cold days. And then as we run up through the first week of March, we find that high pressure going to Scandinavia, and eventually the Atlantic's beginning to break through. That's a fairly chilly run from the GFS control run tonight. It isn't desperately cold, but it's certainly chilly. There'll be a lot of frosting with that. And as I say at the start, we do have a few wintry showers as well. This is ensemble member number 1, when we find the winds are in from the north and northeast on the 28th of February, so this one looks cold. That low pressure slinks away to the southeast, and we get a build of high pressure, which would at the very least give a lot of frosty nights during that first week of March. That high pressure going up to Scandinavia and bring winds in from the east, so those could blow some snow showers onto the east coast then. As we're running up towards the 7th and the 8th of March, you find high pressure dominating, keeping it mostly dry, but cold with a risk of frost at night. Ensemble member number 2 is looking cold the 28th of February. We've got low pressure down to the south, high pressure to the north, and we're bringing in the winds from the east or the northeast. That will probably be bringing snow showers into eastern parts of the country. We go through into the first week of March, and high pressure then is centering around to the north of Scotland, bringing those winds into the east. Again, those could be blowing snow showers onto the east coast. And then that high pressure is just sitting around the country throughout the second half of the first week of March. Again, probably produced a lot of night frost, mostly dry days. We end up on the 8th of March, again starting to pull down colder winds from the north or the northeast. This is ensemble member number 3, when we've got low pressure to the east, and we decided to pull down winds from the north on the 28th of March, going to the first day of March, and the winds are going into the east and the northeast. That's probably bringing some snow showers down the east coast, and then the high pressure just sitting around the country, keeping it cold, dry and frosty. However, as we run up towards the 7th of March, we're taking that high pressure up towards Scandinavia, towards Greenland I should say. Retrogression is taking place, and we're beginning to pull down colder air from the north. So far, all of these ensemble members looking pretty cold through the first week of March. This is ensemble member number 4, bringing low pressure in from off the Atlantic, and then getting a build of high pressure behind it. So that's taking mostly dry but frosty weather across the country. Then we are starting to move that high pressure up towards Greenland there, up to the 7th of March, turning the winds into the north. So we've got a Greenland block, we've got low pressure underneath it. That looks pretty cold and wintry there through the first week of March with ensemble member number 4. I think this is a little bit of an upgrade tonight from the GFS ensembles. Here we are with ensemble member number 5, with low pressure to southeast, bringing in those cold east to northeasterly winds on the last day of February, probably bringing snow showers into the east. Then high pressure in early March just sits around the country, keeping it mostly dry, cold and frosty by night. I suspect days wouldn't be too bad in the sunshine. That one very anticyclonic, dry and frosty with ensemble member number 5. Number 6 looks like this. So, well, this one's a lot milder. We're bringing the Atlantic through quite clearly there with ensemble member number 6. The previous first week of March. Eventually the high pressure is building to the east, but doesn't get into a position to give us any cold conditions. This one's a much milder and Atlantic driven, albeit turning quite settled later on in the first week of March with ensemble member number 6. Ensemble member number 7 shows low pressure to our east, diving southeastwards, turning the winds into the north. High pressure's building around Iceland, and so the winds are going into the east and into the northeast. That's bringing bitterly cold air in from the east, probably snow showers as well there on the 3rd of March. And then we start having to go from the Atlantic, so we've got low pressure trying to push Atlantic weather systems into that cold air. That could be fun and games. We eventually finish up, though, quite a lot milder by the 8th of March. We started bringing milder air around the top. That's a cold one, though, through most of the first week of March. There would be some snow in there, most certainly. This is number 8, low pressure again to our south, and that clears away, bringing the winds into the east. They'll probably be bringing snow showers into eastern parts of the country, and it stays mostly dry, cold and frosty then through that first week of March. Ensemble member number 9. This one looks much more unsettled. Deep low pressure over country on the last day of February. That clears away. We do get a northerly swipe, which doesn't look like it's lasting all that long. And then pressure is starting to leak away, and we start to bring milder air up from the southwest. So a little bit of a cold snap there on ensemble member number 9, but it doesn't last very long. This is number 10, and again, it looks unsettled to start off with. Little bit of a colder snap there around the 2nd of March. That doesn't last long. Then the Atlantic's coming through. Looks quite stormy for a time around the 6th. And then eventually that low pressure clears away. We get a build of pressure through the country, which is probably within slightly colder air as well. Number 11 on the 28th of February looks Atlantic driven and unsettled. That low pressure gets pushed down to the south by height rises to our north, which gets the winds into the north and northeast by the 3rd of March. So this one's turning cold. There'd be snow showers there in the east of the country. And then a lot of high pressure to the west with cold air continuing to the east, probably bringing some snow flurries around eastern coast at times. So that's a cold one through the first week of March. Ensemble member number 11. Number 12 looking like this. Low pressure moves through the country and gets the wind into the north for a time around the 3rd of March. Then pressure builds through the country, producing a lot of frost before milder winds return from the southeast. So that's just a little cold snap around the 2nd and the 3rd of March. Number 13 looks like this. We got low pressure generally to our north and west. So this is a milder one. This is Atlantic driven until we get to around the 6th, when we start to take that high pressure up to Scandinavia and get colder winds pushing in from the east. So it takes longer to get there with number 13. Does eventually go quite cold with those easterly winds coming in. This is ensemble member 14. We find low pressure again is out in the Atlantic, and this one just looks Atlantic driven and quite mild. No cold weather there at all really with ensemble member number 14. Number 15 has low pressure to our east on the 28th of February. That clears away, and then we build pressure through the country and ridge it up towards Scandinavia. So it's trying to get cold with those easterly winds. And eventually that high pressure does form quite a blocking feature to our north. We do get some cold air coming down from the north there during the second half of the first week of March. That one is turning quite a lot colder. It takes a little longer to get there, but it does eventually turn quite cold. This is ensemble member 16. This one looks very cold and quite wintry for 28th of February. Got high pressure around Iceland, low pressure to our south, bringing in these cold east to northeasterly winds. That low pressure is eventually squashed down to the south, but not before it brings a real easterly there across southern parts of the country. That could bring snow showers into the east. Then high pressure remains to our north or over the country, so it's staying cold there through that first week of March, probably with hard night frost, and I would have thought mostly dry days. Number 17 takes low pressure through the country on the 28th of March into, on 28th of February, I should say, into the 1st of March, brings the winds into the north. This one looks quite a cold one, running through this first week of March, but eventually does turn milder from the west and the southwest. So that starts off with a bit of a colder snap, and then it gets milder fairly quickly. Ensemble member number 18 looks cold on the 28th of February. That low pressure is eventually pushed out by a big area of high pressure that's developing up to our north. That gets the winds into the east. They'll probably be bringing snow showers into the south and east of the country there around the 5th, 6th of March, and then that high pressure just sticks around the country, probably bringing some slightly less cold air around the top of that ridge. But again, that's another pretty cold one for the first week of March. Number 19 and penultimately looks as though it starts off fairly mild with low pressure coming in from the Atlantic, but it is being blocked by high pressure over Scandinavia. There's a very deep cold pool as well waiting up over Scandinavia. Is that going to hit us? Let's run on and have a look. So what happens is that the high pressure goes up to Greenland, and we do import some pretty cold air in from the east there with low pressure. I suspect that will be bringing snow to parts of the country through that first week of March. And then finally, we go through to ensemble member number 20, and this one looks mild and Atlantic driven as we're running through the first week of March. No cold weather showing up there at all, really. We finish this ensemble watch on a generally mild and Atlantic driven note. So clearly a bit of an upgrade, I think, from the GFS ensembles tonight. They aren't totally sold on this on this idea of turning colder weather through the first week of March. But there are several members that at least bring a cold snap around, say, the 28th of February, 1st, 2nd, 3rd of March. Some of them are extending it into quite a prolonged cold period, lasting throughout the first week of March. So it may have been warm today, but that does not necessarily mean that winter is over and it's done and finished with us. So it's going to be a case of watch your space, and let's just wait and see where this is going. I'll be keeping you updated through the week, of course. Right, that's it for now. Thanks for watching.